Minding your business is free, and it's easy. All right, well, I'm okay-ish AF, and I'm going to do whatever I want. Let's go. I'm going to be honest with you. This recording, this is really hard. I wrote this a couple of weeks ago before things started really kicking off in Minneapolis. And I'm having trouble focusing on anything else but what I can do to bring awareness and guide people in the right path of helping fight fascism in this country. At the same time, I know that we all need to balance our activism with joy. Now, a lot of the white women that are listening to this are going to they're going to hear that, and they're going to say, oh yeah, joy is an act of resistance. So when I live in joy, I'm resisting. And that's not how that works. Joy is an act of resistance is meant for those who are the most oppressed in our society. For most white women, that doesn't apply to us. Does that mean we don't deserve joy? No. But we don't get to use the phrase joy is an act of resistance as an excuse to get out of sacrificing our comfort for the protection and the rights of our brown and black brothers and sisters. And if you have feelings about that, put them in your journal, put them in the comment section. I'm happy to help you walk through it. I just want to give a heads up to anyone who's new here as well. This podcast is not brand safe. I don't want to be brand safe. I'm not going to be sanitized. The title of the podcast is Does Whatever She Wants. Because that's what I'm going to do after soul-sucking corporate jobs for all of my career and being laid off and then rejected for 2 years of applying to corporate jobs in a shitty economy. After 2 years of doing all of the right things, networking, cover letters, resume building, I know that there's a different path for me. And I'm not going to be one of those white ladies that doesn't speak up on things publicly. And I say this a lot, but here's the thing. I might be messy, but you're never going to have to wonder where I stand on stuff. You're not going to see any corporate approved silence here or any both sides nonsense here. For me, you are against fascism and you are anti-racist, or you're not, and you're part of the problem. I'm not going to pretend like fascism isn't knocking on all of our doors, because quite literally, it is. You can hate listen if you want, but if that's not your vibe, you can also fuck off. Do y'all know about the button girl? Her name is Tamara, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but she commented on someone's post about what you're doing in the new year to better yourself or whatever. And she mentioned that she is collecting a button, one for each day. And people are like, oh, what do you do with the buttons? And she, at first she was trying to explain, well, I carry one for each day. So I know that like, there's a, to remind me of the time that we have. And then people kept having questions. They kept asking her questions. And so after a few comments, she said, and I quote, "Hey, so it really only needs to make sense for me to do it, and I don't feel like explaining it to anyone else." And let me tell you, for about a week and a half, everyone on TikTok was like, you know what? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And then the new TikTok meme was born. And honestly, I think taking that approach and applying it to a lot of things in life could save us a lot of hassle, you know? It reminded me of how I explained being trans to my boomer-aged ex-mother-in-law. It was a few years ago, pre-COVID, and we were sitting around, we were talking about stuff, and she's very Catholic, but a progressive liberal sort of Catholic, and which is, I know, but they exist. And she asked, well, I just don't understand why anyone would want to change their gender. And I was like, but you don't need to understand it. You just need to love them through it. You know, kind of like Jesus, how Jesus would love them, how Jesus would love them through whatever. And she was like, you know what? I never really thought about it like that. And I think for us as white ladies, it is, we assume insidious intent, and don't get me wrong, you take one look at my Facebook comment section on all the death threats that I've been getting for the last week. There is insidious intent there. But I think that when we sit down and talk to people who we have relationships with, who haven't unpacked their transphobia or their racism or their homophobia or their misogyny yet, you can get to them. You just have to put in the time to do that. Because sometimes it's not always hate. Sometimes it's just a matter of they haven't thought about anyone else but their experience. And sadly, for a lot of white people, we have to hit each other over the head with, you don't have to understand their experience to believe them and support them. Anyone who has been sexually assaulted can understand that. You don't have to have been assaulted to believe me that I was and support me through it. But a lot of people who have never been there have a hard time doing that. Anyway, I hope the button girl is doing great. She should have 18 buttons at the time of recording this. I am happy for her, and I hope that her button journey goes well for the rest of the year. So the button girl also sparked a lot of conversations on TikTok, which I found really, really interesting. Like, some things just aren't your business, and it's okay to keep scrolling. Like, people don't owe you an explanation for the things that they're doing if they're not harming anyone. Like, the one of the best examples for me, and this is something that I've had to actively like deconstruct over the last like 15 years of being online, is when I see Black people specifically talking about something that I don't understand. I used to insert myself into that conversation and ask, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. What is this? What is it? Like, as if I deserved to know. You don't deserve to know that. You don't get a automatic invitation into every space. And I think a lot of white folks, we don't know that. We don't realize that. That doesn't click for us. Like, it's okay to say, oh, this isn't for me, and just keep scrolling. Minding your business is free, and it's easy. There's a misconception that when someone posts something publicly online, that because it's public, you're owed space and you're owed a response when you comment on something. And you're not. I look at everyone's social media feeds as they're allowing us inside of their home, their virtual home. They're allowing us inside. You don't have to be there. You can leave, right? If you're scrolling on TikTok and you see someone's video that you don't like, it's not aesthetically pleasing to you, you don't like what they're saying, you can just keep scrolling. Or you can just block them so you never have to see them again. You don't have to insert yourself into that space to say anything. That's a choice that you make. If you show up to someone's house, virtual or physical, and you start acting like an asshole, then you earned whatever reaction you get from acting like an asshole. And I don't think a lot of us are commenting in good faith. I think especially those on the right and those who are peddling right-wing propaganda from all sides of the aisle, there's not a lot of good faith questions or good faith comments happening. It's all just about getting reactions out of people or starting fights. And I don't want fights in my house. And you shouldn't be starting fights in other people's houses either. I think we also, the button conversation also brought up, like, you can accept something that doesn't make sense to you. You could absolutely just be like, okay, you don't have to understand or be able to empathize with a trans person on their struggles. You just have to believe them. That's a choice that you make. You don't have to know or try to know what it feels like to be an immigrant or a Black or brown person or Indigenous person in America right now. But you can choose to believe their lived experience. That's a choice that you make. Just like you make with the button girl. The buttons don't make sense to you? Okay, but it makes sense to her. Just believe her. Like, oh, hell yeah, you're collecting buttons? Great. I hope it works out for you. This is your annoying auntie of nuance checking in. This is your rapid fire segment of things without any context. People are allowed to ghost you, and you're allowed to think they're an asshole for doing that. Both of those things are true. Keep your feelings in your journal and out of Black women's comment section. That is a standard practice. We should all be doing that. Sometimes there are no perfect candidates. You still have to pick a side. Speaking of which, go register to vote. You can find out how in the show notes. Go register to vote. Get all your friends registered to vote. Go fucking vote. Go vote. I want to shout out to all my Patreon members who make this possible, who make it possible for me to call out the assholes on LinkedIn every week. Can't do it without y'all, so I appreciate your support. There's going to be resources available every Wednesday. We're learning how to be a bitch for good over on Patreon, and I'm gonna tell you something, going viral is fucking hell. Going viral sucks. It's not hate it, actually. It's not fun. I need 149 people to join my Patreon at $10 a month in order to keep doing this and stay housed. Please, please share the Patreon link with any white woman that you know who doesn't know how to get started or is not sure where to get started or feels lost in this moment and needs community. We're building that. We're building it. And I'm so grateful for my Patreon supporters who make this possible. I could not do this without y'all. So thank you. Speaking of that, almost all the Patreon posts are going to be free. The resource pages are going to be free. You do not have to pay to be in the Patreon, but if you can afford it, it really does help me out. All of the links for everything that I talked about are going to be in the show notes. It's a weird transition to try and talk about things that are fun and uplifting. I don't have it in me to like really be funny or entertaining. it's a rough time for a lot of people. And I really hope that you will stick with me through this and you'll join the Patreon, join our community, and learn how you can be a bigger bitch for good. We're going to have to face some of our discomfort. We're going to have to accept the discomfort. We're going to have to sacrifice things. And I'm going to help you find out which of those things will be the most impactful. Anyway, thanks for being here. I love your faces. Fuck ice forever.